Hello and welcome to The Extended Branch, a podcast aimed at demystifying the fraternal and working aspects of Freemasonry. Conversations will be kept open as to avoid any spoilers for those who may be interested in joining and to keep with our individual obligations. Any thoughts or opinions shared by the participants and guests of The Extended Branch are of their own, and while open dialogue is our goal, we acknowledge they do not represent any official statements or positions made by any grand jurisdictions. My name is Andrew Rizzatello, current Worshipful Master of Olive Branch Lodge number 16 in Freehold, New Jersey. With me, as always, are my co-hosts, Brother Billy Bilbo.
Hi.
And Brother Kevin Cotter, Society of King Solomon.
Everyone, hello.
Tonight's special guest is fellow Worshipful Brother and all-around geek, Worshipful Brother Ed Keller.
Hello, everybody, and that is me, the big geek.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Nerd.
Yes, nerd.
So I personally have wanted Ed to be on the show ever since this this show was brought to me, mainly because Ed was actually part of my investigation committee. One of the things that you have to go through when becoming a Mason is after you petition to a lodge, 3 members of that lodge, at least here in New Jersey, will go to your house or any other place that you feel most comfortable in, because they want to see you and your attitude and possibly your spouse or your children or your family outside of the lodge. They want to see what your life is a little bit more like, as opposed to the character that you may put on when you come to the lodge. So Ed...
So you're saying he fell for it?
Hook, line.
Not exactly. There's more to the story, but not exactly.
Ed was part of that committee for myself, and when he came in, after we got done with the formalities, he immediately noticed the fact that I had 2 Star Wars Lego sets, and that became a friendship that has not died.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what Star Wars does.
It does.
In case anyone who doesn't know Star Wars.
Long-time fan of the Star Wars and a very, very serious Star Wars geek. As soon as I walked in, I saw his collection of Lego Star Wars, and I was comparing it to my crazy collection of Star Wars stuff, and
He's always got to one-up somebody.
The friendship began.
The topper.
It's mostly my wife's fault because she never says no to buying the stuff. So
Well,
damn, you should have stopped that sentence sooner. So, as always, I believe we're going to start with I smell something. Are we going to start with a barbecue, or are we going to...
No, I got Masons tonight.
You got Masons tonight?
No, unless you guys don't want them. I cannot do them.
Listen, no, this is Ed's first time. We got to talk some Masons.
Sure, let's talk
All right.
masonry. Absolutely.
All right, you guys are ready for Name That Mason, yes? I'm assuming.
Man.
Fire away. Let me turn my phone this way so there's no way I
took
can
a-
cheat.
Oh, please. I'm going to win anyway. No.
So, we got only two, but we got a lot to talk about tonight, but...
Yes, we do.
So our first one is going to be, our first Mason got a job in Nevada with his brother in 1861.
Oh, jeez. He got a job with his actual blood brother in 1861 in Nevada.
Mm-hmm. That's not his only job or his first, but it is one
1861.
I'm trying to go back to that era.
Lewis or Clark?
No.
Okay.
Next?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep,
Okay.
that's close,
Give us a
please.
second
Yeah,
one.
give us another one.
I don't want to give it away too early, but he was a miner on the Comstock lode after he got done working for his brother.
I'm still drawing a blank for that one. The Comstock load.
Yeah, you're getting me. I mean, I'm pretty good at history,
There
but
are
you're getting me
people
right
screaming
now.
at their earpods.
Oh, there absolutely
Yeah,
is.
probably.
There absolutely are better historians than
Yes.
us.
All right, you guys ready for me to give it away?
Probably.
He was... let me find this good quote. He was quoted as being... the greatest humorist the United States has ever produced. That was in his obituary when he died in 1910.
Oh, I know who that is.
Ah,
That would be Brother Samuel Clemens.
you are correct, sir.
Mark
that
Twain.
Excellent. Yeah. Samuel Langhorne Clemens.
That's right.
Yeah, on that
Okay.
one.
So he
Of
was,
course you would get the book one, right?
Right.
Well-
So I have now forgotten every quote that I love of his, so thank
but
you, Billy.
He's amazing. Yeah, we got to go back on that guy.
You got me on that one.
And of course, we have to give it to our engineer, who's pulling up pictures of quotes behind
There
you,
he is.
Kevin.
Yeah, right behind you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So,
Yeah,
thank you again, man.
They're all Mark Twain. Don't believe what you read on the internet.
yes.
Yeah, there's no such thing as Samuel Clemens. He made
Yeah.
that very clear. So he was born November 30th, 1895, in Hannibal, Michigan, and he died April 21st, 1910. He was raised in Polar Star Lodge number 79 in St. Louis. Initiated on the 22nd of 1861, and then passed on June 12th, and then he was a master by July 10th. Let's see, what's some good stuff? He wrote Tom Sawyer in 1876, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer in 1876, and 1884 was Huckleberry Finn. He was a miner, yes, but obviously he was not wealthy. He did not do well as a miner.
Come on.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of a
I
sudden,
remember.
Kevin's getting very
I remember.
vibrant.
I remember.
So really, the only gold that I like to think that he found during his time as a miner was when he was staying in Calvers County. He heard a man sing, not Calvers, I'm sorry, the Angels Hotel in Angels Camp in California. He heard a man tell a story about a frog that we actually all know very well. It was the frog of Calaveras County, and if you don't know him,
Looney Tunes?
Looney Tunes did, yeah.
Hello,
Michigan
My
J.
Baby?
Frog,
Hello, My
yep,
Baby,
that
Hello,
was
My-
the story. Yeah, that
oh, wow.
was Samuel Clemens wrote that story.
Wow.
That was really the only gold he brought back from the Comstock load, so that was, whatever. He was a friend to everyone, really. Like, he went to... so when he grew older and he wanted to leave Michigan and he decided he wanted to see the world, and his brother had a printing business, and he really enjoyed literature, obviously. So he decided he was going to go out there. Before he did, he wanted some worldly experience. So he said, you know what? Before I come out there, let me go up and down the Mississippi River a few times, and he became a Mississippi riverboat pilot.
Right.
And he did that for like 2 or 3 years, and then he slowly worked his way over, and he found a mining team that was on their way out to the Comstock lode, and they kind of convinced them to go along with them, and he's like, he thought he could make it. They made it apparently sound easier than than everyone in the world knows. Everyone that ran out there, during the gold rush, they all know that it wasn't as easy as
Oh, no, absolutely not.
He used his pen name first. In February 3rd, 1863, he wrote a humorous travel account entitled Letter from Carson, Re. Joe Goodman, Party at Governor Johnson's, Music. So it was just this funny satire on the way that...
It sounds hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
if it's
for the
Mark
time.
Twain... Yeah. I mean,
Reading a memo.
yeah, that's absolutely what he meant to be. And it was just, about someone getting an invite to a fancy governor's party, like how they were supposed to attend the music and stuff like that, and what they were supposed to dress
Just complete ridicule.
Oh my God,
of
yeah, he was just
society at the
ripping
time.
into rich people. Yeah, that's, he loved doing that kind of
So
stuff.
I found it. It's my favorite Mark Twain quote.
Go, please. Yeah.
Right. So, and it's pretty much attributed to him. It's I never let my schooling interfere with my education.
Yeah.
I've heard that one. I like
Yes.
that one.
Yes.
And
I
to
will.
hear that from a brother Mason, it just deepens
Hundreds of years ago, by the way.
deepens the wisdom behind the quote.
Yes, it does.
All right, you guys ready for number 2?
Yes, let's do this.
All right. So this English Mason was born in Bombay.
Go. Second.
Of
Nope,
English
I'm
parents.
lost.
Let's see. He wrote of Bombay, mother of cities to me, for I was born in her gate, between the palms and the sea, where the world ends, steamers wait. Come on, Kev.
I have a guess.
Tailored these to you today.
I have a
Yeah,
guess.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say Brother Rudyard Kipling.
Yes,
Kipling,
author of the
yes.
There
Jungle
you go.
Book.
Jungle
Absolutely.
Book.
There you go.
Hey, they got 2 books
Yeah.
in a row. Which my
Didn't
wife
he
being
also
a-
do oh damn, what was the Sean Connery? He was in the film.
Oh yeah, the man who would be
The Man Who Would Be
Oh, The
King.
Man Who Would Be
yes,
King,
yes,
which is,
that's
yeah,
also his.
amazing.
And then the poem, everybody quotes it. We quote it all the time in Lodge.
Gunga Din?
If. I think
Oh,
it's-
if.
yeah.
Oh, that's a
1910.
wonderful
Yeah.
poem.
If in 1910. So
Yes.
a little bit about Ruggier Kipling. Like I said, he was born in Bombay. He was born in Bombay. His parents were what they would call, I forget the exact term, but they were basically English citizens that lived
in a colony
in Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he eventually became the mayor of Karachi. Oh no, I'm sorry. Pakistani province of. I'm sorry. Hope. So let me go to his stats. He was initiated, passed, and raised in Hope and Perseverance Lodge number 782 in Lahore, and Lahore is the capital of the Pakistani province of Punjab, and is the country's second largest city after Karachi, as well as the 26th largest city in the world. He was not 21 yet. He actually was raised in 1885 before he was before he was 18, because he was born in 1865, so he was 20. But they needed him to get him in there because he was leaving.
They needed a steward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always the case.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
So he was secretary of his lodge, and he wrote later to the Times. He got very involved in publishing as well. He was very prolific in his family's journal that they wrote in Bombay, and it was an English newspaper for Punjabi English citizens.
Okay.
So it was just basically telling of like all the wars that were going on and everything that.
It was a newspaper,
Yeah,
essentially.
basically.
Right,
But
okay.
he was given the opportunity to throw his spin in it and voice things in his own way, and that's where he got the idea to become a novelist. People would say that they'd never seen anyone write the way he did so prolifically. Almost to the point of madness. Where he was constantly. But if you read any of, and everyone knows the Jungle Book. It's like one of his most famous ones. But you know how great those stories
Well,
are.
the poem that Kevin mentioned,
Yeah.
is very powerful.
Yeah, the one that I read about, one of his short poems about Bombay. It's fairly powerful. Like if you think about the words, he really loved his home.
He loved the place.
Yeah,
Yes,
he was in
dear
love.
to
Yeah.
him.
During when he was entered as an apprentice, this is his own words. I was entered as an apprentice by a member from Brahmo Somaj, a Hindu, passed to the degree of fellowcraft by a Mohammedan, and raised to the degree of master mason by an Englishman. And
That's awesome.
and our
That's great.
Tyler
Yeah,
was an
that's-
Indian Jew.
That's awesome.
That's
That's
great.
everything you want in a lodge,
That's
honestly.
What else?
perfect mix
What
of
else
It
did
is.
you get?
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's amazing.
He not only received the 3 degrees of craft, but also the side degrees of Mark Master Mason and
Oh, he's
Royal
a Yorkite guy.
and
Yorkite.
Royal
Yep.
Arc
Well,
Merit.
he's English, so
Well,
they really push the Mark Master.
do. Yes, absolutely,
The fourth,
yeah.
the fourth degree
Right,
in the
yes.
Yorkite. That's kind of almost standard for United Grand Lodge stuff.
true, because
Like,
the 4 degrees because of
well, you get your mark.
Yep.
Literally, you get your mark in that degree.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool. But still, like going back to who entered, who passed, who raised him. That's everything we talk about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what
Talk
I mean?
about
Yeah, 'cause-
acceptance, man.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
come
That's
on.
awesome.
That's all.
That
of
is
it.
absolutely
Yep.
awesome.
In 1903, he gave permission to Elizabeth Ford Holt to borrow themes from Jungle Books to establish Camp Mowgli, which is actually in New Hampshire, and it's still around, and it's all Jungle Book themed. So if you go throughout
Camp Mowgli.
Yep, the camps
Camp Mowgli.
The campers are referred to as the pack, from the youngest to the cubs and the oldest living in the den. So they use those themes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
it's
that
very
is pretty cool.
And he was very into masonry. He was the secretary for years and years.
Well, I
and-
mean, it's secretary. We talked to Adam about that.
Yeah,
That's something you get
kinda-
chained to the desk for.
Your secretary for life is quite a comment.
It is.
yeah,
It is.
You don't get away from that.
No, you don't. So
Are we ready for the
now
DVDs?
I smell the charcoal burning.
Oh yeah,
and-
there's a little sizzle in the air. I'm not doing it tonight because I'm not ready. But all right.
What the hell?
That's not what I'm talking about. That's not
No,
what
the
I'm talking
people,
about.
the people have waited.
All right. So
There's a soundbite coming, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, a little
and-
foreshadowing.
And it is for you.
We're gonna be that dork.
yeah, hold on. I gotta
Well, with
find
me
it.
as your guest, of course. Absolutely.
I'm just thankful that the weeks of studying for Name That Mason has paid off.
Really, Kevin? You got
Tenfold.
both.
He did.
You nailed it 100%
I am
tonight.
firmly in second place. Still behind Andrew, who's
You know what? It's fine. 'cause
Clearly-
Mine are pure luck. You know
clearly
this.
playing the judge.
if it makes you feel better, I will always be in last place.
Well, technically,
Listen,
I'm in last
what-
place.
what-
because
Yeah, whoever the
was
guest
Alex
is.
Trebek
Guest
in last
is
place?
last place.
No, he
Never.
was not.
Absolutely not.
The fabric
of Jeopardy.
of this country.
He was actually technically he was the last one to get the answer. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, give the man a break.
All right. So,
What's up? You're off topic.
Ed,
Come
are you
on.
ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Are you ready for the BBQs?
Sure.
Because I'm Billy Bilbo.
And
these are my questions.
I'm ready.
Look, he's already got his info put for you.
It didn't
Look at
work.
It's right there. You want to see it?
that. Brother Edward Scott Keller.
Scott, oh.
Oh,
Scott.
jeez.
Yes, sir.
Oh, geez, that's like that's very Star Trek.
How much more? I know you're German, but how much more English can that sound?
Very Star
Yeah, I know it's
Trek-y.
weird because my mom always said, "Oh, I named you after an English king." I'm like, "Well,
All
let's
you
not
need
talk
is some
about that
numerals
English
after your
king."
name.
King
and you're
Edward.
like,
Hey, same here. William the Conqueror. So, you know.
The King Edward that she named me after did some bad stuff, so let's not even get into that topic.
All right, so I have a few questions, but my one big question is kind of personal to me, and I feel you and I may be on the same level, but I maybe also be wrong on this. So not completely unlike you. You outfathom me greatly, but I feel as though I have a dictionary-sized level of comic book knowledge, whereas you're like volumes of encyclopedias. Like you bring out like issue numbers and stuff like that.
I do that. My wife will say numerous times we have had conversations after we see every Marvel movie with friends of ours, Ron and Nikki, pre-COVID, and we will be going to them soon together, that we usually go to a diner afterwards and talk about what they missed in the movie, and with my encyclopedic geeky knowledge of Marvel comics, will literally give them the breakdown of everything from book to movie.
Right.
And my wife wonders how where I store all this information. I said, well, sometimes I forget how to tie my shoes, but I could go toe to toe with anybody about Marvel pretty much.
Right. So this is
away.
So this is how I relate this to us as brothers. So when I first got into comic books, the reason I continued with it is because it was exciting. It was something new every time I read it. May not have been something I liked to read, but I knew it was going to be different. Mm-hmm. So for me, ritual for me when we first started as a Mason kind of did the same thing, and I love reading it and absorbing it. I'm always studying it. Did the same kind of thing happen to you where like you were like, this is like there's so much here. I want to absorb it all because it's just so interesting and I want to know.
When I got started in the Masonic Fraternity, I had a history of other hobbies and other things I was involved in, and I got involved in the Masonic Lodge thanks to a friend of mine who was a big history buff. His name's Johnny Church.
Okay.
You're the second person to mention him. Ken mentioned him also.
Johnny Church was actually my signer, my recommender when I joined the lodge.
Cool.
And he was a big Civil War buff. And I was big into other types of history, reenacting, and I was a huge fan. And amongst all the other geekery stuff that I was involved in. And we hit it off as friends. And when I went to lodge for the first time and saw the fraternal aspect of it, I was like, this is kind of like, this cool mix of everybody here. And when I went upstairs and I got to experience it after I was initiated as a candidate, afterwards, after being a candidate, when I was able to see everything that's going on, I was just totally blown away by like the just kind of a moment where like these are. Everything they're doing is like got this connection through history, and it's like
and you want to learn,
and then want to learn more, and understand. It's like a hero's journey.
Yeah,
and like watching them then go through.
Thank you. See, I knew it,
and hearing about the tales of all these famous Masons and what they've done, and going back to Ben Franklin. I mean, historical. Mike's are the historical superheroes. Ben Franklin has that example. Ben Franklin,
Marquis Lafayette. I mean,
Marquis de Lafayette. Yeah. Big history buff, knowing a lot about the Revolutionary War and going into the Civil War and everything. So these are people that were heroes of this country.
Mm-hmm.
And then being a geek, reading comics and reading about these fictional heroes. The Captain Americas and the Batman, Superman. Everything.
They're all based on someone that
they're all based on somebody. But there was also a lot of Masons in the early days of comic book creation. What
was that? The golden or silver?
The golden age of comic
50s,
books was you could a lot of these comic book artists a lot of them were probably Masons too, and we were connected through their we know one in our lodge.
Yeah, Guy Dorian.
Who is an excellent comic book artist who is. And I see some of his work, and I see a little Masonic.
The
nods in there every so often, and seeing him at the comic conventions. And it's like brother, yelling across the way, and talking to each other. So I do see the interconnection between.
The absorption.
So I want to pony off that one question. You mentioned that when you walked in, you saw the Brotherhood and how everyone was different, but you all connected on this one idea.
Yes.
you are a firefighter.
Yes.
One of a couple that are in our lodge in general. But I noticed, and that was actually one of the selling points that some of the other brothers mentioned to me, is that firefighters, police, we got a lot of police overall, military members, men who are already part of a fraternal structure, so to speak, kind of bring that to Freemasonry, but there is a relaxed feel there because it's not work in that way. Whereas with a firefighter or a policeman or anything like that, that's your job. You either get paid for it or you're volunteer.
You're volunteer,
Right.
But then you come here to lodge, and as Brother Ken Long said, you walk through the door and that weight is lifted off your shoulder, but the feeling of fraternity is still there. Do you feel the same way?
Well, I'll give you an example of that. Like when you're, being a volunteer firefighter, like there's so many volunteer and career firefighters that are members of the Masonic Fraternity, and I see them at like the Wildwood Firemen's Convention.
Oh God!
And they'll whether it's a Masonic ring or a pin on your hat, or they'll recognize you from being in lodge at some point, and they'll come up and say, "Hey, brother, how are you? Good to see you." And you're chatting about, we refer to each other as brothers twice over. There's brothers I'll see on the fire ground on the scene, and after the fire's over and we're putting everything away, like a brother will come up to me and give you a handshake, a grip, and say, "Hey, brother, how are you? Are you okay?" So there is that close connection to the and how I became a firefighter was through family. My grandfather was a firefighter, and like enjoying that, like having that family connection in the fire service. My older brother is a firefighter.
How Irish are you?
Half. I'm half German and half Irish.
I was going to say, because that's a very stereotypical thing.
Irish in the fire
Irish
service.
and police and fire. They split right between
Well,
police
because in
and
the
fire.
1800s, when a lot of the Irish came off the boats, the only jobs they could get were firefighters.
Yeah,
and
civil
cops.
service. Yeah, civil
Paddy
service.
wagon.
Yeah, the paddy wagon, right. And I mean, they got a job
take
as
it easy.
No, but it's true. I know. We're going to get censored.
Take it easy.
You got a job as a firefighter or a police officer.
Yeah,
because that's what was available to you back in the day.
Yeah.
So.
You got 2 Irishmen, 3 Irishmen sitting.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know. Don't worry. Listen, I'm the one that was, as they say, working on pavement.
Yeah.
Right.
So go ahead, Billy.
All right, so that was kind of the next question.
Sure, go ahead. Sorry, we jumped into it.
I swear
sorry.
I didn't read his notes.
It's all right. It's all right.
This is the best
apologies, brother.
podcast on the internet.
So,
Yeah, Cape. I know you're out there.
That's right.
so I'm going to crack a little bit the door open into the craft store today, but I'm not going to step all the way in. So
We're just like breaking into each other's
No.
bits.
Break.
This was
away.
my
I'm an open book.
This
Go
was
ahead.
my backup after I got here. So we talked a few times about Star Wars here.
Quite a few times.
Yeah. And some people, I don't know who they are, may not be familiar, but
Those unborn.
yeah, those
If you've ever been to my house, you know.
those not yet on this world. But there are, and all of us have noticed, whether you are or not, there are many similarities to faith, religion, and Freemasonry in Star Wars. There are, we could do probably 4 or 5 episodes for each movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
based on
The
like
philosophy there is-
the philosophy, the symbolism, some of the just the dialogue.
I'll let him finish.
So are there any scenes or quotes or times that something happened that really like stand out to you in Star Wars in relation to Freemasonry?
So
He's leaning back. This is going to be good.
Masonic. Okay, so my experience in the Masonic Fraternity, and then being a Star Wars nerd and knowing the history, and George Lucas using Hero of a Thousand Faces as his basis for the modern myth that became Star Wars, in the late '70s, and New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, going into Return of the Jedi. His hero's journey was Joseph Campbell was a big influence in George Lucas's life.
Yep.
So knowing what his influence was on him, going through the hero's journey from youth to manhood to being an elder, seeing that in multiple facets in Luke Skywalker being the youthful, student.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
Obi-Wan Kenobi being the aged mentor, those aspects, Han Solo fitting somewhere in the middle is that middle-aged, like all aspects. The rogue, like the knowing everything, hitting what was probably his zenith, his peak of,
There's
his
the warrior,
adult life.
the warrior, wizard, and rogue,
George having Joseph Campbell as a mentor, and the Hero of a Thousand Faces, it talks about the hero's journey. It talks about going through that life cycle and from the beginning.
Oh, it's pretty blatant.
yeah,
Right,
I mean,
is.
it's 100%
It's right
the
there.
hero's journey.
And all the scenes. I mean, think about the old myths of ancient Greece, and then you can go to the Eddas of Viking mythology. You can go to the ancient Greek, the Odyssey. I mean, you think about just the Millennium Falcon in itself.
Homer.
That is the arc.
That's his
the Millennium
jam,
Falcon was the arc that carried them through the story.
Yeah, yeah.
It was their refuge. And I mean, literally they were hiding in it.
The
Empire. So the connection to Freemasonry, going from an initiate, being a candidate, going up to being what's called the Master Mason, where we are, all his brothers here, you go through that, those stories, those lessons you're taught. It kind of takes you through that journey. It kind of goes hand in hand with that symbolic process of the hero's journey to an extent.
Yeah, I could see that.
So
We just don't get fancy swords like they do.
No, we don't. Well, they haven't created those yet. So eventually, there's no lightsabers yet. I mean, they're working on it, but it's going to take a while.
Hey, listen, May 4th falls on a Tuesday during my year. The Tyler's getting a lightsaber.
I mean, that's great.
Believe me, I would absolutely agree with you on that one.
So I'd like to just to throw
Go
out
ahead.
there, when you mentioned the hero's journey, and I am a comic book nerd. You cannot be a comic book nerd and not know the hero's journey. You'd just be useless. You wouldn't know what you were reading.
Even if you never read the book, you hear those words, the hero's journey,
Yeah.
and you automatically
Think about it,
know Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like it's
You know that at some
Every
point,
archetype of every hero
Yes.
goes through that transition
Absolutely.
from youth. You could use Steve Rogers' Captain America as an example, which I am a huge Captain America fan, and everybody will, I equal amount of Star Wars stuff as I do Captain America stuff in my man cave. So there's the hero's
That's
journey.
surprising. I never pictured you as that was your hero.
Oh, he is. He absolutely.
That is?
Absolutely. He
Okay.
is. Steve Rogers, Captain America, is absolutely my favorite.
I
hero.
did not expect you to be a Boy Scout. No.
On the inside, half Sith, half Boy Scout.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you're a gray Jedi.
bounty
Yes.
hunter. Yes. Chaotic neutral.
So Steve Rogers, as a weak, feeble boy, trying to get in the military to prove himself, to becoming that super soldier, to becoming that, elder figure for all these heroes coming behind him, to be that guiding light to teach them how to do it. I mean, I'm such a deep diving nerd on Captain America. I mean, I was a kid reading a book of the day a member of the FDNY in the comic book saved Captain America's life because he almost died in a fire. And then unfortunately that firefighter gave his life to save him, and then he went, and it was an arson situation. He went the rest of the way trying to find out who,
Why'd you set this fire?
who they tried to track down that arsonist who killed the person who saved his life.
Yeah.
Like, and it brought kind of like my grandfather being a firefighter, and I was like, wow, that could have been my, my
Jumping
grandfather.
jumping off the page.
Right, it's jumping off the page to me. So like that just kind of connected me right in there, with him. So
It's not completely fantastical as like the X-Men
Right.
or something like that. Yeah, I know.
No, but in a sense, the more fantastical, the better. Because going back to, not to go back to the Joseph Campbell thing, but the thing that I'm always fascinated about, the whole discussion about Hero of a Thousand Faces, there's a reason that it's 1,000 faces. It's 1,000 upon 1,000 because this has been going on for as long as we have been storytellers.
It's ingrained in
and we've
us.
been telling stories.
True.
And, ever since we were able to light a fire and keep warm.
There are pictures on walls in caves that tell the hero's tale. You can see.
It is written. I honestly, I truly believe it. It is written into our DNA.
Yep.
To act upon why we are social creatures, right, and to either to tell the things, that we need to say, these stories, either to teach a lesson, right, or to identify with that hero, right, or to I guess, well, we have to talk about the dark side, so to maybe a little brainwash, right? It's a double-edged sword, but I wanted to throw that out there because I don't think it's an accident.
No.
I think it's an absolute human need.
It's an on purpose.
It's not always fantastical. It could be within your own social group. Like, Ed's a firefighter, and we'll talk Ed up because, he was somewhere fighting a fire.
On his birthday,
Yeah,
I heard.
yeah, yeah.
No.
But still, like, he's a firefighter. He was out fighting a fire and saved these people and blah, 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 blah.
No.
And we talk that up because he's this. Or, Ken was, he worked in shipping and stuff, and he shipped these millions of dollars worth of goods easily because he got really in good with the company the guy in Germany that he was shipping it to. And while that doesn't sound, that's great, you're still talking that person up and portraying the hero of whatever that is.
Yes, correct.
But that's all perception. I mean, perception is reality. So when you see somebody that you look up to and you admire to be, and I'll use my grandfather as an example, and my oldest brother Frank. I looked at them as my personal heroes growing up as a kid, and your perception of them is bigger than life.
Absolutely.
And when you see them that way, and then my daughter, she sees me that way. That's great. But now she's hitting the tween years.
Well, now
she's
you can shout her out because now you're cool on
yeah,
the podcast.
Hi, Morgan, Daddy loves you. So, but she looks at me like, maybe she looks at me like I'm her hero because I'm her dad until she hits her teenage years when that'll be a different situation. But, the thing is, as it is, it's perception of what you think a hero is. A hero is somebody that does something for somebody without thinking anything for themselves. They do it for no reason. Selflessness. Yeah. It's whether that postal carrier, walks up and hands the mail to that person in the middle of a rainstorm and they're looking for that mail, that letter or card from somebody they love. It's the police officer that goes the extra mile to help somebody out, or that firefighter that does help somebody when they're having a bad time, because usually when they're called to help out and somebody's having a very rough time, somebody's had their worst in the world, and it could be your brother Mason reaching out to help you. I mean, we were going through when talking about like somebody who would consider a hero. Like, I greatly look up to Rich Cavanaugh, who was the worshipful master when I was a senior steward, my first year as an officer. We were going through a rough time with the adjustment of being new parents, dealing with the financial headaches of everything, and he became a hero to us because he came to Linda and I and set us on a path just to get our finances in order. Just to help us with some advice and some elderly guidance.
Great connection between the two of you. You're both cosplayers in a way, because he does the Benjamin Franklin presentation all the time with the lunch.
What? That's Rich Kavanaugh? I thought that was actually Ben Franklin that came.
So it's
entertaining.
He's somebody in the Masonic Fraternity who I greatly look up to, because he was there when we were we needed somebody to be there for us. So that is a hero, in my opinion, somebody that takes that, that helps your journey along and gives you that guidance, and maybe someday you'll pass that forward and help somebody else out.
Right.
So.
All right, I'm good. Kev, you can crack the door rest way open?
Yeah. Sure.
Just kick it now. Sure. Just kick it open.
No, okay, so the craft store is quickly becoming a bookstore, but that's fine. So I came across very innocently. I'll say this ahead of time. For those of us at the table who are familiar with these books, I'm probably the least familiar with these books.
You and I are probably on the same level. I do not have the second, so I do not know anything.
So these are fascinating. These are, but I don't want to get it wrong. I think it's
front cover.
No, it's not. That's just it. It doesn't show the actual author.
The author's name?
No, it's not in there.
All right, so there's two books here. One is called The Jedi Path, and the other is called The Book of the Sith. And the reason that I'm holding this up in a podcast about Freemasonry is that we read all kinds of stuff as Freemasons. And I kind of giggle when I hear the term Masonic scholar. Daniel Wallace.
That is the author.
Not David Wallace. He was the boss in the office. Daniel Wallace. So we read all kinds of stuff as Freemasons, and I do giggle every time I hear the term Masonic author, or Masonic, not author, scholar, because I think at the best of us are still prone to a little speculation, right? We want to believe things, we want to go there, we want to look things up.
Oh, we're cynics, definitely.
But we also love being told a story.
Of course.
Tell me a story.
Stories are what pass the time.
So if you are at all interested in both of these topics, I think these books would really speak to you if you're not familiar with them. I love Andrew's description of of the Jedi Path. He said, "Oh, it reads like a yearbook."
It does. If you scroll through, you open it up, and number one, it's got signatures from all the different Jedi and Darth Sidious on the front page. And what that's doing is it's not saying that they're the ones signing your book. It's showing you their handwriting. So as you go through, it's annotated with these different little notes all over it, as if you brought this book with you through high school,
or like a little black book that we know.
Yeah, like hey, write something about this person, or
my
write something about this.
textbook here. Yeah, this is how we do this.
Yeah, so and you'll see like Luke Skywalker wrote something, or Darth Sidious, or Qui-Gon, or all these different Ashoka, and all these different people wrote little quips here and there. And Yoda writes the way he speaks, so it's
he's fairly easy.
So
to
of course I
figure
have
out.
Frank Oz in my head.
Yeah.
So, so the flip side of that experience, the yearbook experience, which you would expect from a member, a fictional member of the Jedi Temple, right? This one is the Book of the Sith. And this book actually starts with a caveat written by Luke Skywalker that says, each recovered text has its own texture and size. We'll never know what the complete books looked like. These pages are all that remain. And the pages on the side are tattered and burned.
That's great.
Presentation is everything.
Again, annotated, and it's just engaging.
That's great.
It's really, really very cool, and it's something that I'm just kind of starting to read. But I just found the perspective of it to be really unique. I think, particularly for a body of science fiction that people are so familiar with.
So there's
that this could be a really interesting way to get a little further into the lore.
So just the last. I don't even want to call that chapter, but just the last page on the Jedi Path.
Yeah.
It's titled Transcending Death.
Well, it's about knowing your enemy.
Yes,
Right.
and understanding it. Like the first line is, "One day you will die, in battle or in your sleep, having lived the noble life of a Jedi." Substitute the word Jedi for Freemason, and
basically.
you're going to get...
That's the completion of the man's journey. I mean,
It is.
You're facing death at the end, and it teaches you to face it with courage and not be afraid of it. And the Jedi path, also with a lot of the Star Wars mythology used from ancient myth, it all comes back to what George Lucas used as his base for his storytelling. So, like, this is just an extension of an ancient myth. If you think about it.
It's a modern day myth.
I mean, it's a modern mythology that's based in so many ancient myths throughout the world, all interconnected through a person's journey.
Right.
So I've been told ahead of time that as you read these things, for the people who are keeping score, a fair amount of the book is considered to be canon.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So upheld by Lucasfilm and Disney. But there are non-canon things about both of these books.
The extended part.
Which I think anybody who's read any and all of these things, those are the moments that you look for, because you can argue those points.
Oh yeah, of course. Like until the Mandalorian came out, Ahsoka Tano wasn't. She
was Snips. Yeah, of course she was.
But she was in Clone Wars. But that was before the merger, wasn't it?
It was before. Yeah, that was before.
But I thought they said when
Disney purchased Star Wars, which
right.
They did,
So,
but when Disney did it, I thought they said all that stuff just stayed. That was
the
already
Clone
canon.
Wars did all of the novels and comic books.
The only thing that was considered
yeah.
canon per George Lucas was the Timothy Zahn books plus the canon movies. Like everything else was considered. A lot of it was considered extended.
Thrawn. So Thrawn's considered canon.
It was considered canon.
Well, he was in
because
Rebels.
Timothy
Yeah,
Zahn
but
was
the book was out.
But Timothy Zahn was recognized as an official writer of Star Wars by George Lucas. So he gave him the blessing to
But I don't think
write
Disney
my
did.
stories.
I think that was why they put Thrawn in Rebels, was because all the Zahn stuff was made. That was what the problem was.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
Disney, but they said that stuff is not canon.
He's an
anymore.
amazing character, and he's going to be.
Yeah.
He's going to be.
Oh, he's already in it now.
He's getting his own
He's already in
series
it,
soon.
yeah.
I mean, he will have his own series, or
he's
he'll be a
gonna-
part of.
I'm looking forward to it.
So
Yeah.
these it's funny. I don't want to just yank the chain back into Freemasonry.
No, please.
Well, no, you
go
just
ahead.
Believe me, you do.
It's all connected.
We have
go
the
around.
exact same kind of conversation when we're talking about Albert Mackey.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Absolutely.
Or Albert Pike.
And especially
Yeah.
Manly P. Hall. We're like, listen, right now when he's writing this, don't listen to him. Right? So from a couple episodes ago, it's like
with Brother Moretti on
right,
it, yes.
just understand
Absolutely.
that he doesn't become a Mason for another 30
A little
years.
while. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
right.
doesn't get it.
So
yet.
he had all these ideas
Yeah.
Yeah,
that spark interest and spark thought,
Right.
but
but they're not 100% true.
So I going into this and Ed, I would really love to hear what your thoughts are on this. Everybody wants to link what they do to Star Wars,
Right.
you know, because they deeply love, you know, two different things, and it's funny because in a sense one almost pulls you away from the other. But you want to love them together
mush them,
so
yeah.
much.
I fix
right?
droids for a living.
So yeah, right.
Stop it.
So other than the dogma, right, that would follow either of these books, right, whether you're a bounty hunter or whether
You're
you're a
in-universe or out,
stormtrooper, right?
Okay.
yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
In Freemasonry,
Okay.
along with stuff like the thing about the Star Wars myth, there is characters. And there's characters in our Masonic myth, which we can discuss, some we can't. There is characters in our day-to-day lives, us as Freemasons, how we handle certain situations and handle things in our life, and we fit into archetypes. You're talking about bounty hunters and Sith and Jedi and gray Jedi and somewhere, you know, there's times we feel like we're doing the right thing, and there's times maybe we feel like we're doing the wrong thing, and how to better ourselves and to curb our passions. You know, like the book of the Sith talks about anger and being very passionate. Well, you know, they have to curb their passions and keep control of themselves. I mean, the Star Wars myth, the first three movies were basically about, they weren't really necessarily about Luke Skywalker. They were about the redemption
Vader.
of his father.
Yeah.
Right.
Vader was the main
coming
character.
back from darkness to light
Yeah. By way of redemption.
By way of redemption, which as Freemasons we're taught to, you know, follow a lighter path and do the right thing.
And he perished at the end.
With everybody, especially our brothers, and sometimes when you do the right, you know, sometimes you do the right things, even if it hurts or it hurt, you know. So, yes, I do try to find a correlation to Star Wars and
Yeah.
Freemasonry, and it's very easy to. And I've gone down the deep dive conversation with Brother Rizzatello and Brother Bilbo.
Speaking of that deep dive conversation, one of the things that Brother Ed and I have spoken about that we'd like to do as sort of a fundraiser, sort of a fun thing, to give you a little bit of context, the Shriners, which I had mentioned in a previous episode that I will be joining this month. Actually, I will be.
I want to discuss that with you
Huzzah,
because
huzzah.
that's one organization I am definitely interested in getting involved in, is the Shrine.
We will talk later.
Yes.
One of the fun things they do, you see the Shriners everywhere. They were part of the parades in New York. They wear the funny hats and they drive the little cars.
Small
not
little
a
cars,
funny
hat,
and
it's
all
a fez.
all
It's a
the
fez.
amazing
And fezes are
charities,
cool.
and all the
Listen,
amazing, and all the amazing charity work they do. as well.
Yes, and that's the one reason that I was like, I need to be a part of this because
Yes.
they are, if anything, they are the most recognizable branch of Freemasonry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in order to be a Shriner, you have to be a Master Mason first. So some of the fun things they do that are open to the public, as opposed to our ritual, are they do mock rituals. This year they do a hillbilly degree, where everyone looks like Sanford and Son, kind of, you know, things like that. They do. They're doing a pirate degree this year.
Okay.
So everything's going to be, you know, spoken in pirate, the R's and everything like that. And it's just fun, goofy. They don't mean anything. They're there for a fundraiser for the Shriners Hospital, you know, things like that. So I had discussed with Brother Keller about doing a Star Wars degree. Originally, we were going to alter one of our Masonic degrees and have our participants in Star Wars garb, cosplay for this degree.
Right.
And then we were hit with a little bit of backlash, but it's understandable because the solemnity of the degree needs to be presented the way it has to be
needs to
presented.
be preserved
Right.
and presented the way it should.
So dressing up in costume would ruin that.
Yes.
And I understand that. So another Right Worshipful came to me, Right Worshipful meaning a state level officer, and informed me about what the Shriners do and how they do these mock degrees, and they do it for charity and they do it for fundraising. He's like, why don't we build one from the ground up? And we do it as a fundraiser or as a
degree.
public faux degree.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're not going to stop anybody from coming. It's going, but the whole thing is Star Wars themed.
Yeah.
We'll poke fun at the some of the more serious aspects of the degree that we all think are funny. We all know the areas.
Well, you'd include like tongue-in-cheek stuff.
Absolutely,
that Masons.
But
would
the
know.
whole thing would be
Right.
the 501st is going to show up or something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, Yoda is going to be the master of the lodge.
Let me ask a question. So, do the Shriners have the same degrees? So, would it be the same?
There's only one.
As an independent body, they have a separate ceremony.
So,
Yes.
it's different than what we would do.
Yeah. So when you join, this is kind of off track, but when you join an independent body, be it the York Rite, the Scottish Rite, the Shriners,
New York, right?
same here,
Yes,
Knight,
me too.
Not quite there yet.
didn't.
Royal Arch. I didn't get. I got the Royal Arch.
He is below us, Sir Knight Cutter.
Keep saying that to
I know
yourself.
he'll beat us with his actual suit of armor. Anyway,
He's a very, very large man.
and a firefighter, he'll throw us in a barbecue, literally. So, so Billy, to answer your question, the 3 degrees, at least with the Scottish and York, the 3 degrees you went through in Blue Lodge, that story that you learned is expanded upon.
Okay.
All right? In the Shriners, because of the way that the Shriners were created, because it was created to be a fun social group that also happened to be Masons.
Okay.
They made their initiation, their degree. So it's only the one,
so
and you
that's
become
what you
as
would
a
do.
you become
Got
a
it.
noble.
All right. So that's what you would make.
Yeah.
Star
So
Wars.
this,
Okay.
yes, exactly. It'd be a fun thing, and
Okay.
there would be no like
So could
official joining. Like, take for instance, when COVID hit, a couple brothers from another Masonic podcast, was it Three Distinct Knocks or Masonic Light? I think no, Masonic Light. That's who did it. Light, L-I-T-E.
Okay.
They made a faux degree. They made the Knights of the Quarantine.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah,
funny.
yeah, yeah.
So
that's
what
right.
they did
That's funny.
is they wrote out this entire play, complete just malarkey, of this knight that was traveling, trying to get toilet paper and hand sanitizer and all this nonsense.
Yeah, I definitely
That's
can
pretty
see the humor
funny.
behind that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
And what they did is that you bought tickets to view this degree.
On Zoom.
On YouTube,
course.
but
Yeah,
to view
yeah.
this degree, and they played the members of their podcast played the different parts, and after it was over, all the money that was raised was given to local charities that helped hospitals with PPE
Right,
and
right.
various
That's
things
great.
like
See,
that.
that's,
COVID
that's a
stuff.
that's a
But
wonderful
that's what I
reason.
mean.
That's a
Yeah,
wonderful
that's
reason.
great.
And
You know, there's
for those who did sign up, you got a pin because we all love Masonic flair. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're all dorks.
Flair.
And you got a like a knighting certificate saying that you survived the night of the
Yeah.
quarantine.
No, the quarantine.
And their pin, they have 2.
the gas mask.
They have the gas mask one,
Yeah.
which is it's a hanging pin. It's the square and compass with a face and a gas mask.
Adam
and it
will
says,
wear it.
I have it too.
Yeah, you have it too.
And it says Night of the Quarantine Survivor. And there's the other more family-friendly version where it's the emoji with the mask on.
Yeah.
That's great.
Listen, it was fun. It went to a noble cause.
If we're going to do something like that, and if we do it as a charity fundraiser,
It's
and something to go
exactly-
to a great cause, we can think
Yeah.
of an organization that really could use the money and can really help out, like they were doing it for the PPE. Then we could do something like that.
Absolutely.
But I just got one requirement for doing this faux degree:
Go ahead.
no Jar Jar Binks at all.
Well,
He's a candidate.
No,
He's a
yeah,
candidate.
that's what I was thinking. Like, all he has to do is say yes. Yes, sir.
But he can't just say yes.
Yes, sir.
He can't.
No,
He cannot say yes.
if you
Yes,
want me
the
to
master.
participate, he cannot be.
He's the true Sith. Let's start with that. He's the true
worst.
Sith.
He's
He's the
not
worst.
capable of responding in one syllable.
It's true.
No. George Lucas occasionally made.
Just
He's not in that
never
modern
mind.
mythology. He's not in ancient mythology.
I'm
Just
not
a
blaming.
mistake.
I'm not blaming
He
that
is a
on George
mistake.
Lucas. I'm not letting George
I'm
Lucas
not
take the
letting
fall
George
for it.
take the fall
The
for
worst
it.
character
he
in
was
all of.
trying to get the kids interested in Star Wars at that generation.
All right.
So we're not going to go down that deep dive down that.
He failed.
Sorry, Brother Rizzatel, I think it's an amazing idea. I'm definitely all for it. If we can we have other people that are kind of geeky like us in the lodge.
Oh,
I think we
absolutely.
could definitely get them on board to do it. And Brother Omar, I think it would be awesome.
Here's the other thing.
Go ahead.
Would I be able to watch that somehow?
Absolutely.
Like, I could
see,
just
this is my again going back. The initial idea wasn't to have was to obviously, like I said, alter a degree we had. Got pushed back, which was understandable. So now, since it's going to be an open faux degree, you would purchase tickets or something like that.
Okay.
By purchasing a ticket, all that money would go to
the Shriners Hospital,
either a Shriners Hospital or the local autism group.
Because
you know,
that's for you, right?
It's all something like that.
We'll get
That'd
the
be
local
fun.
lodge behind it, and we'll also in contact the state so they understand.
Oh,
what we're
absolutely.
doing.
No, I'm not going to. No, it's not something that we want to hide. We want to put this out there.
That'd be a real good
put it out there
fundraiser.
and
I
have fun
think
with it.
people
They
would
might
watch
wanna
that.
enjoy
Well,
it.
I don't know how many.
I mean, the current Grandmaster, his slogan is Masons helping Masons.
Yeah.
You know, because of what went on during COVID, which we should be doing anyway. And his personal charities, I believe it's called the White Rose, which goes to widows of Freemasons to help with their lives, and also back to the Masonic Foundation, the Masonic Home. The Masonic Home is at least here in New Jersey, is in Burlington, and it's a retirement home for. I believe now it's open for everyone. But I think priority Masons, but I think it's open for everyone. I'm sorry if I get that wrong. I know Grand Lodge is going to be yelling in my ear.
You're in the East.
I know. I'll hear it from our district deputy.
I'm a has-been.
Well, no, they'll yell at you more for not knowing.
Direct emails should be sent to Billy Bilbo.
No, definitely not.
At oliveranch.com.
But I have been
via Adam Reich.
I have been told. Yes,
Definitely don't do that. No, definitely. That's all.
I have been told that the Masonic Home, the quality of life and the facilities that they have there are better than the VA.
Yeah, no, I've actually had a chance to go on the tour, and I've been there before I was Worshipful Master, and I'm amazed at how well and how wonderful everybody that lives there is taken care of. And I can't say enough about, like, I hope please, if my daughter ever decides when I'm old and she doesn't want to deal with me no more, that, I mean, my wife will outlive me. So, but anyway, I'd say I'm tired of dad and get him out of here, that, she sends me somewhere like that, then I'm well taken care of.
Right.
Because again, I couldn't tell you how amazing
And that was at least, a decade, almost.
2012 was when I went there. So
yes, almost a decade.
Almost a decade.
And they've improved, part of our annual communications is to tell us where the money goes that we all pay for dues. Yes. And they 2 years ago, 2019, part of that annual communication, they told us all the improvements that they've made to the Masonic Village.
I can only imagine. Yeah. And all the communications, past master, they still keep us up to date.
Yeah, it was incredible. All the beds that they bought, all the different accoutrements and things like that for all the seniors that are there.
Yeah, they live like royalty. I mean, for considering it's for senior developments, they live like amazing. How well they're taken care of.
Yeah.
So going back to Star Wars, because we
I know
we got on like a
really
real random path from like Star Wars to old people's homes.
Should have worn my Star Wars stuff today.
So. Kevin, I got a question for you.
Yeah,
As
sure.
someone who is not as familiar with the lore, I'm going to assume you've seen the core 3, the original
all
3.
of that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but just not. I haven't read many books surrounding.
No.
Well,
Yeah,
actually, now
it's
you're not
fine.
supposed to because they're not
it doesn't
canon.
matter anymore.
Well, we can discuss some of the great books after the podcast.
Yeah,
We
okay.
could talk about.
So
some
I wanted to
Yeah.
go back to the hero's journey, and
Sure.
I wanted specifically to bring up the second movie,
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back. So normally in the hero's journey, and we see in Masonry too, it also is not as extravagant as what George Lucas wanted to do. He devoted an entire 2.5-hour film to the fall of his hero.
Yes.
So, what would you like? I think in relation to Masonry and our story, that's fairly significant. Like thinking about the symbolism of it.
Yeah.
That the fall was as important, if not more so.
Yeah, it's
Than the
absolutely
rise.
critical.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I think one of the very telling things is if you're a person who reads the credits, George Lucas didn't direct that movie.
No. Yeah. He let
gave
somebody
it away.
else. Yeah, he let somebody else
He
do
did
it.
the first movie. He gave it away, right? And it was because he couldn't be objective.
Yeah.
Right. It was. He knew that he had to like create this world and then blow it up.
Yes.
You know.
But he couldn't be the
Right.
mastermind. Yeah.
So it is absolutely critical that you identify with a central character, right? And that you put that person through an adversity that they could never have perceived.
Never.
Right? And I mean, the fact that, episode 5 comes with the biggest plot twist of the entire series, the most poetic moment, the most romantic moment, right? The reason that we've coined this term space opera,
Yes.
Oh, yes.
right, is
100%.
because of Empire
That moment,
Strikes
yeah.
Back. And,
That
I mean,
is-
right, and you speak to people, and unequivocally, episode 5 is their favorite movie.
Their favorite. Oh yeah.
And
I was
and-
an opponent of that for a while.
So, but there's so much that was introduced by the movie, right? That backed up the adversity.
Yes.
So from just an analysis of the hero's experience.
Yes.
It's absolutely critical. That's the most important film, I think, in the whole franchise.
It's the bell curve.
Agreed.
It's that the part where you're talking about at the end of the movie. Well, then when George Lucas put Kirshner in charge of directing that movie, it was painstaking for George, from what I read, to pick somebody to take it to that next level, so he could feel comfortable with them just doing it.
Right.
And when that I am your father moment happened, nobody knew about it, from what I understand. Until
Yeah.
Yeah, it was-
Well, that was a
before.
surprise.
Literally. And so
was
that
a
reaction,
surprise. Like, nobody knew that was going to.
Yeah.
Prowse, nobody. The body actor for Vader, Luke Scott,
Right.
Mark Hamill. They didn't know what was going on. James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
He was handed the script, and he was like, "That's what I'm saying." Like the reaction. I mean, you can see it in all these documentaries about Star Wars.
Right.
Yep.
And to have that arc, that where like Luke Skywalker is at his zenith. He's just trained by Yoda. He's feeling
Powerful.
Yes.
powerful. He's great. His power level is so high. He knows so much, and he must go save his friends. And that hero's quest continues down the path. And then he runs into that brick wall, which is Vader. And what Vader does to him basically teaches him a lesson in humility.
Oh,
and Teaches
absolutely.
him that you think you know everything, well, you don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then that mental twist at the end, where everybody in
It
the
breaks
room,
him.
Right.
Everybody in the room gasps along with with him, and like, whoa, that just
To
was,
be, it's definitely a moment that is it's a human moment, because like you'll see videos online about kids, younger kids nowadays who obviously never seen these movies, who at that moment go, what?
yeah.
Oh
the
God!
first time.
Yeah. So, but it's a teaching moment, and that's what Freemasonry also does through the stories that we tell, through the degrees, is that you get to this point in the story that we tell, and it's
Yeah, you think you're at your peak, the zenith, as I was saying before, in the modern myth, what Joseph Campbell talked about, and then you hit that peak, and then all of a sudden that decline happens, and how you handle that decline, and how you either come back from it
Right.
and accept your fate, or you succumb to it.
So I want to propose something. So I do love a good story, as most people who know me can attest. So here's what I think makes our story as Freemasons and Empire Strikes Back so significant. So when you get to the second movie, you've just come off a high. They've absolutely
the
nailed
fifth
it.
movie, technically.
Whatever. It's the
Episode
second movie.
5.
Yeah.
They've just destroyed the Death Star. They're ready to rally back. But when you catch back up with them, what's the first thing that's happening to them?
They're losing in the Battle of Hoth. They're getting trounced.
So I'm going to propose this to the rest of you. When do they win in that movie?
they don't.
They don't.
don't.
And that's what makes... well, hold on.
Go ahead.
That's what makes the two betrayals so significant.
Right.
So when they get to Cloud City, Lando brings them in and then betrays them by handing Han Solo over to Boba
How
Fett and
very
the Empire.
Judas of him.
So, number one,
Yeah.
you are 100% crushed because you're thinking, oh my God, they finally caught a break. Like, Luke has gone to Dagobah
that
and
door
failed.
Opens, that door opens and Vader's at the end of
And there he is.
at the end of
And
the
then
table.
the
So
whole
simple.
battle and then the whole lead up to the betrayal of Vader, revealing to Luke that he's actually his father.
Would you consider that a betrayal?
Yeah, because
there is
he
two betrayals. He is correct.
He abandoned him. He knew he was alive.
okay,
He felt
okay.
him, and he said, "Nope, not going to deal with this. I'm not going to deal with this until I have to." He absolutely betrayed
then-
him.
Absentee father type
and,
thing.
Yep.
and then the quick, I made a mistake.
Oops,
and
oops,
Lando trying
oops.
to redeem himself after that by realizing, hey, I screwed up.
Oh,
And
I'm
he
dying
was-
now, and I kind of saved you.
you-
Can you take my helmet off? Yeah, it didn't do it for me. Vader really didn't redeem himself. I mean, he protected himself more than he protected Luke. He didn't.
But it was that moment when he saw his son at his weakest. And
Yeah,
he was
but he knew he
was-
would never get power. He knew that Luke would eventually strike down the Emperor, and he would never trust him. And
Still,
All right.
that's a whole.
This is a
separate thing.
Freemasonry
That's a whole
episode.
separate- that's a
We
whole
need to
separate
stop.
thing.
We got to stop
But
this
anyway,
train.
Right. So anyway, like I said, the whole hero's journey is through the characters going through the story arc of these 3 movies, the redemption of the father, which we can
Right.
we can agree to disagree on.
Yes.
There is that redemption for him, which somebody who in our fraternity who has faced a rough time, there's somebody that he can lean on to.
Yes.
You know,
Oh,
There's
yes.
no
Oh,
need.
the
Yeah.
brother is
you're,
there.
you're at your lowest.
There's
the
that
brotherhood
safety
is the
of-
brotherhood is there. There's that
You
safety
really
net.
shouldn't ever.
We used to have a thing, unfortunately, because COVID shook us up a little bit. We used to have something called the Junior Warden's Trip in our lodge, in Olive Branch Lodge.
Actually,
And yours was to Gettysburg, correct?
I actually reinstituted the Masonic bus trip.
Okay.
It was something that Worshipful Brother Alberbato and I discussed. And when I was junior warden, I decided that we're going to do a bus trip, and we went down to Washington, D.C.
Oh, you went to Washington.
And
Okay.
we went to the George Washington, plug here, we went to the George Washington Alexandria
It's beautiful.
Memorial.
The Masonic
Yeah,
Memorial.
333 feet
Memorial,
tall.
where the
Yeah.
Lafayette apron is.
I
and
still
a lot
get
of
the
really
I
cool
get the
stuff
flyers
there.
for it in the mail. They asked me to donate.
There's a group photo of
calendar.
us
Yes,
in front of
yes,
in
yes.
front of there at the Lincoln Memorial. There was a great trip, and it's renewed that tradition. And that was the brotherhood and brought the families together. And
Yes, yes.
you know, my wife went with me, and everybody, and we were just having a great time on a bus trip down there and back, and it was a nice. And it started. We went to Gettysburg.
The reason
Xavier we went to Boston. Brother
Yeah,
Xavier
I
was
also
here.
went to
Yep,
Boston.
Yep.
The reason I brought that up is 'cause I thought it
Same.
was you who went to Gettysburg. But the thing I was bringing up is in Gettysburg, there is the Masonic Memorial.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the
brother
brothers.
to brother.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
National Museum. At the National
So
Cemetery.
right there, it's a literal huge monument dedicated to what Brother Keller just said.
That's Civil War, right? Civil War.
Civil
money?
War,
Yeah,
which is-
yeah.
which is,
But still, like it's
North
that
and
idea.
South.
It's that idea that you're going through a rough time. I mean, literally, someone's dying, but like you're going through this hard patch in your life, and there's a brother there to pick you up.
Yes, the
you know-
statue was Low Armistead, who was a brigadier general with the Confederacy, and it was a colonel who was with the Union Army. He was under General Hancock, who Low Armistead and General Hancock actually went to West Point together. And their connection, there's a book out there called, I'm trying to remember the name of it right now. There's a book there, there's a book about Masonic Brothers. You can Google it, Masonic Brothers during the Civil War.
Okay.
And I think it's called The House Undivided.
Yeah,
actually.
Undivided.
I think you're-
House Undivided.
Yes.
So is about the brotherhood
Yeah,
of the
Lafayette's
fraternity
in that.
on both sides during the Civil War.
That's beautiful.
And Low Armistead at that point in time was fatally wounded. He was trying to he wanted to have one last word with General Hancock, and he couldn't. And the colonel took that, who was a brother, saw him fall and knew who he was, and took the message and brought it back to General, who was also wounded in the same battle. So there is when
There's
we
a
went-
bigger story there.
There's a
than
bigger story
just
to
the
this.
helping
yeah.
a brother.
the helping a brother. So, and that's the worst moment between when the country was torn apart.
Absolutely.
You know, and they came together, and we've seen a lot of stuff going on in our country right now where we're kind of torn apart for a lot of things, and hopefully the Masonic fraternity can keep each other together doing stuff like this. So
Yeah. We try to be that light in the darkness. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And on that note, I believe that's a good note to go out on. So as always, like, share, and subscribe. Our home is on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram at The Extended Branch.
Yes.
You can find us on Facebook under the banner of Olive Branch Lodge number 16. And YouTube is the home for the videos. You can find us on Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts, or whatever they're called now. As always, for Brother Billy Bilbo,
Bye.
Brother Kevin Cotter, Society of King Solomon. I'm never going to let it die. And Worshipful Brother.
And pillar of our lodge.
Yes. Worshipful Brother Edward Scott Keller.
Thanks so much, Ed.
I am Andrew Rizzatello, and this has been